Most likely episode 7's gonna drop way sooner than we think, and Glitch themselves already hinted at that. Y'all remember how just a couple weeks after San Diego Comic-Con we got episode 6, right? Well, Glitch recently shared that they're gonna be at Los Angeles Comic-Con, and if we recall Goose spillin' that episodes 5, 6, and 7 were developed at the same time, then it's pretty likely that a couple weeks after LA Comic-Con we'll see episode 7. So, it makes total sense to assume that October 10th or 17th are pretty solid possible release dates for the new episode. However, that's far from everything we know about episode 7. So let's do a full first look at the new episode based on all the official info, and the smartest way to kick it off is with the story of the character who outshined everybody in episode 6. And probably one of the most intriguing scenes was the moment during the Favorite Character Awards.
Without honorable mentions and subcategories. That's right, it's bad! Unlike my show, Quick as Go.
After that, a lot of people started suspecting that Jax is actually on the verge of being abstracted, and that it's supposed to happen already in episode 7. Gooseworx herself told us a long time ago that we would never guess which character is closest to turning into an abstracted monster, and after episode 5, many were sure she was talking about Regatha. Now the whole narrative has completely changed, and the main candidate to repeat Kaufmo's fate is this purple rabbit. In this video, I want to dig into what's really going to happen to Jax in episode 7, and how likely it is that we'll actually see this character get abstracted. Before this episode, we saw Jax as just a fun-loving troublemaker with really specific jokes, and honestly, that's true. The thing is, we only looked at him from that side and didn't pay attention to the other signs that could have helped us understand this character way earlier than now. I did a deep dive investigation and can confidently say that today you're going to find out the truth about Jax in episode 7. The first sign that Jax is actually a deeper character with a really complex fate was the dialogue scene between Pomni and Jax in episode 5.
Doesn't she get on your nerves sometimes?
I mean, she's nice to everyone.
I don't know. I think she tries way too hard. Like, we're stuck in... Why are you always pretending everything's always fine? Like, if you tell someone they're loved and appreciated every day, it just kind of loses all meaning. It just feels like she's trying to take advantage of you, you know?
And if we pay attention, Jax really badly wants to get things off his chest, and basically, he does. But if you look closer, you can see him turn away and purposely avoid looking at Pomni to immediately set some boundaries. That was the first scene ever where Jax genuinely talked to someone, and even if back then this scene didn't have much meaning for the story, now I want you to lock it in your head, cause we're definitely gonna come back to it. Besides that, in episode 6, we got the fullest look at Jax's thinking while living in the digital circus.
One day, you're somebody in the real world doing important things, and then the next, you're just a weird little cartoon jester. You want to hold on to that part of you that still thinks it's part of that world, but in the end, what does it get you? Ragatha tries to be all nice and friendly, but she gets torn up every other adventure. As time goes on, we just end up falling into our archetypes, become part of the machine.
What's your archetype then? The villain?
Listen, I add a key dynamic. I see how far I can push things. I screw with people, and I break the fourth wall. You wanna know why? It's 'cause it's funny. I do everything 'cause it's funny. 'Cause I'm the funny one.
At this point, we realize that Jax has both a very simple and a very complicated view of the digital circus. He fully understands his role in this place and doesn't want to make things harder, and that's exactly where the problems begin. If we remember the scene where Jax snaps at Pomni, he literally trashes her feelings, shows the highest level of indifference, and acts as aggressive as possible. And at first it might seem like that's all Jax is. But we clearly remember how he reacted to the doors of his dead friends, how he most likely talked sincerely with Pomni, or that moment where he worries about Gangle even though she seems to be, let's say, his main target. You could expect anything but definitely not some sympathy. These two sides of Jax completely contradict each other, and in that case, one of them is fake. I'm sure that the Jax who always hides behind the mask of a cool guy doesn't really belong to our rabbit, but is just a defense mechanism, because now we realize that Jax actually has huge problems and his life is literally at risk. I'm 100% sure that all those words and actions were done on purpose, just to push away everyone else stuck in the digital circus. With Zubul, he's had a pretty interesting dynamic for a while. With Gangle, I already talked about. Kinger acts like a crazy old man 99% of the time, so there's not much effort needed there. Ragatha he doesn't take seriously at all, and only with Pomni things were going perfectly fine up until that moment.
Oh, he makes such a good team.
Well, to be fair, our competition wasn't anything crazy.
Yeah, true. I suppose this is the part where one of us betrays the other. We could just be winners as a team.
We're not a team, come on.
What do you mean? Yes, we are.
Delusional.
Weren't we kind of bonding over being chaotic evil together?
I was merely entertaining you because I thought it was funny.
It's pretty clear that all this so-called drama started right when Pomni began getting closer, and looking back at that scene, we now clearly see that Jax is actually a good guy you can have fun with or talk to, but nothing more. And it's not because it would get boring or he'd turn out dull, it's simply because Jax won't let it happen. And that's where his biggest problem comes in. Most likely he gets really attached to the characters close to him, and after they turn into an abstracted monster, his world keeps falling apart piece by piece. That's exactly why he can't handle any mentions of his friends and exactly why he reacted the way he did at Kaufmo's funeral or when Ribbit was brought up in episode 5. And now that we understand Jax's main problem and his personality, we can go back to the scene from the start of the video where Jax had a panic attack. That was the first time we noticed such unusual behavior from the rabbit, but I'm sure there were a few more incidents like that which just never made it on screen. If we think about it a bit and piece together the chain of events, it becomes obvious that this episode happened right after his failed talk with Pomni, which clearly left him upset. In that case, we realize that when Jax is sad, he's super vulnerable, and that's exactly why he keeps hiding behind that so-called cool guy mask. Only when he's in that so-called fun mood can Jax forget about the problems closing in on him from every side, and the biggest problem is his weakness. Knowing all this, a fair question comes up. Could Jax really get abstracted in episode 7? Yeah, he could, but that's not the only possible outcome. First, let's remember the leak where Goose straight up said that starting from episode 6, chaos would begin in the digital circus, and in that case, what can we call chaos at this point? If we count the start of these events with Jax as chaos, then his transformation into an abstracted monster seems more and more logical. But I think it's way more complicated than that, and Goose clearly meant something else by those words. We're gonna see some major changes in the digital circus, and it's hard to believe Jax won't be part of it. One thing's for sure, Jax needs support from someone else, and most likely we'll see some kind of attempt at that, and that therapist definitely ain't gonna be Kane. I think Pomni and Regatha will talk this problem over and decide that the only one who can really help Jax in this situation is Kinger, who actually knows how to handle stuff like this.
Maybe you just needed a break. It sounds to me like you put a lot of pressure on yourself to be there for everyone, and when you're not, you beat yourself up for it. You said you failed Pomni. Why do you feel that way? It was my fault we went down this path, wasn't it? I'm really sorry for that.
Why have you been acting so different lately?
I have, haven't I? I'm normally not too good with memories.
However, it's pretty unlikely our rabbit will let anyone get close to him, and way more likely we'll see him slowly losing that very spark that made him the favorite character for digital circus fans in the first place. If episode 6 was just the start of all this chaos, then episode 7's gonna be the peak of it. Right now, we already got enough info to figure out what to expect from it. In one of her posts, Gooseworx straight up said episode 7's gonna be split into 2 parts. Most likely, the creators originally planned to make 8 EPs instead of 9, but episode 7 turned out so huge they had to break it into 2 separate episodes. And if we remember another one of Gooseworx's posts where she described every episode with one word, episode 7 was described as, huh? While episode 8 was, oh. So, in that case, we get that episode 7's gonna be the climax and the peak of the chaos, after which a lot of mysteries are gonna start making more sense for us. And episode 8's supposed to finally answer all our questions and set us up for the finale of the amazing digital circus. On top of that, Goose dropped the runtime of the new episode and officially confirmed that every next EP's gonna run longer than 30 minutes. Episode 6 was almost 34 minutes long, and it's important to realize that was just the start of the so-called chaos. Y'all remember when Goose straight up told us that one episode's gonna be crazy long, but didn't reveal which one exactly? After that 34-minute episode 6 compared to all the previous ones, we might have thought she was talking about this one, but since we know episodes 7 through 9 are also going to run longer than 30 minutes, it raises the obvious question. Did Gooseworx really mean episode 6? I don't think so, and since I already said episode 7's going to be the key point in all this chaos, I'm kinda scared to assume she was talking about that one instead. Gooseworx also told us that the total runtime of episodes 6 through 9 is going to be 2.5 hours, which is 150 minutes. If we round it a bit, that means the last 3 episodes are going to take up around 120 minutes, so each next EP is going to be at least 40 minutes long. Honestly, I feel like episode 8 is going to be the shortest one, sitting at around 34 to 35 minutes, while episode 7 might stretch out to a whole 45 minutes. Over a year ago, Gooseworx already told us who each EP is going to focus on, and if the pilot in episode 2 showed us Pomni's first days and her trying to adapt to the digital circus, episode 3 dug deeper into Kinger and showed us Zubal's real problem. Episode 4 showed what Gangle would be like if you gave her even a little power. Episode 5 revealed Ragatha's true identity, and episode 6 showed us the real Jax who's always hiding behind that nihilist mask. Then episode 7 basically doesn't reveal anybody at all. Some folks got theories that a new character might pop up there, and we'll definitely talk about that at some point, but still that post was more about uncovering the characters we already got. So in that case, we gotta get that episode 7's just gonna dig even deeper into every single character, and we're gonna see way more real reactions to the truly messed up events of the digital circus. On top of that, one of the users on Tumblr asked Gooseworx, "Random line from episode 7, please?" and got the answer, "You're only making the joke take longer." Honestly, I don't even got the slightest clue who could say that, but it kind of feels like there's some shade in that line. And in that case, Zubal, Jax, or Pomni seem like the most solid candidates to drop it. But other than being a fun fact, we don't really get much out of this, because based on past leaks like this, the line doesn't really carry any deep meaning. Or maybe I just didn't catch it. If we look back at that teaser they showed us right after episode 5 dropped and line it up with what went down in episode 6, then even if it was indirect, the creators still kinda hinted at some of episode 6's events with that teaser. So the teaser after episode 6's also gotta hold some important meaning for episode 7, and I think I caught the main message the devs were sending. First off, we see a trash can somewhere on the circus tent grounds. And I'll be real with y'all, for the first couple seconds, I legit thought it was an actual trash can in the real world, and someone just tossed that photo in it. On the photo itself, we see Jax and Pomni still looking happy right after the scene where Jax lays out his world view on the digital circus.
You want to hold on to that part of you that still thinks it's part of that world, but in the end, what does it get you? Ragatha tries to be all nice and friendly, but she gets torn up every other adventure. Whether we like it or not, all we are now is a bunch of cartoon characters. So what's the point of pretending we're not?
We're still people, though, right?
I thought we were at first, but as time goes on, we just end up falling into our archetypes.
The wildest part is that the photo was actually taken by Jax. That feels extra weird considering what we saw later, but you'll get what I mean in a bit. Right now that pic's lying in the trash, and it's only logical that somebody tossed it. And since we get that, Jax most likely wouldn't keep it.
We were never friends.
What about all that stuff you told me?
Yeah, I did tell you a lot, didn't I? Not looking forward to thinking about that tomorrow. I do not care about you or anyone else in this circus in the slightest. End of story. You are my playthings, and I get joy out of making you suffer. I'm the one who causes pain for fun. If I led you on, it was just to make this part hurt you more.
And even though we know for sure that Jax did and said all that on purpose so he wouldn't get attached to anyone, his so-called mask still wouldn't let him keep a pic like that. Which means we can be certain Pomni kept that photo, cause at first, she genuinely believed that after everything they went through together, they'd become real friends.
We could just be winners. As a team.
We're not a team, come on.
What do you mean? Yes, we are.
Delusional.
Weren't we kind of bonding over being chaotic evil together?
I was merely entertaining you because I thought it was funny.
Did I do something wrong?
You sound like Ragatha right now. No wonder we're not a team.
No, I mean, we were doing fine, having fun, talking. But you suddenly
You're not committing. Do it.
If I shoot you right now, Are we still gonna be friends afterwards?
But after everything that went down, we get that Pomni actually got disappointed in Jax as a friend, and that's exactly why she tossed their fun photo together. I'm more than sure this moment's gonna get referenced in episode 6, but it's important to understand that doesn't mean Pomni's written off Jax or won't interact with him anymore. We already figured out that Pomni's super sensitive about everything that goes down in the digital circus, and I'm more than sure she ain't just gonna let this slide. Even though she now totally gets that she's not gonna be friends with Jax, the scene at the Favorite Character Awards makes it clear that Pomni's still affected by the whole situation. They won't be friends because Jax really cut off all the chances for that, but in episode 7, we're 100% gonna see Pomni trying to reach Jax and figure out why all this is happening. Also, if we remember that whole panic attack Jax had,
God, he looks stupid.
a lot of people already came up with wild theories picturing Jax turning into an abstracted monster in the next episode, or at least being on the edge of it. Everybody remembers that Jax's voice actor is Michael Kovac, and if we check that post on X and Gooseworx's reply to it, it's pretty clear that literally anything could happen to Jax except him going abstracted. Another topic that's crazy important to talk about is Kane and his slow shift into an AI that can't even control himself anymore. That scene really makes you think that even crazier stuff's gonna start happening in the digital circus. In the end, we can tell that episode 7's really gonna be a turning point for the whole digital circus universe. Can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments, and I'll catch y'all in the next videos.